You can also record.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So in the scale of 1 to 10, in terms of digital knowledge or technology knowledge, how would you rate yourself currently?
Okay. So, like I said, I would say maybe 2/10. 2.
No problem, no problem. But remember, you are stronger like 7 or 8 or 9 in your finance side. So this is just a skill that you need to bridge and up it. Now, what rating you want to go by when? Let's say from 2 you want to go to 6 or 7. By when do you want to go? What's your timeline that you foresee?
Okay, so I know Rome was not built in a day, so I would be looking at 5 at the minimum. So average, meaning that I have the basic knowledge and I can engage in conversations around technology. So from 5, in the short term, 5, later on, I can look at further improving myself to get to maybe like 7, 8.
Very good, very good. How soon you are looking to do to get to 5, and how much are you ready to invest in upskilling? You invest your time in upskilling that knowledge.
That's the thing. Like, you never get enough time, but I strongly believe that you create time for things that are important to you. So I know how vital, I know how critical this is to my career. So I'm willing to create that time. So when I say in the short term, I wouldn't mind in another 3 months moving to from 2 to 5.
Okay. So you want to increase by 3 in 3 months. That's
Yeah.
a catchy way to remember it, right? So notch up 3 levels in 3 months. Let's keep it that way. So it kind of anchors us to motivate and stay on the track. I think to notch up 3 in 3 months, a decent, I would say, an hour to 2 hours, anywhere between that. If you spend almost 5 days a week, I think you should be able to get there, right? And that hour could be reading articles, listening to podcast,
Okay.
listening to YouTube videos,
Okay.
um, and going through some technology course module that gives you an overview.
Okay.
Okay. Um, so these are the aspects we need to keep in mind. So these are the different ways you can do, and obviously, peer networking session. Like the easy way is like if you want to, you know, improve in the sports that you are more familiar with, let's say basketball, for example, you want to become good at certain throws and certain things. You want to stay with the friends who are playing basketball day in and day out. So at least by watching, by talking, and by networking with them, you kind of stay in the zone to move into it, right? So it's essentially not only individual reading, but also peer networking and understanding, grabbing the terminologies.
Mm.
Yeah. So are you so far with me?
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. So the timeline wise, 3 months, and I think if you can spend an hour every day for 5 days a week, however you want to split that 1 hour, or however you want to stretch that 5 to 7 days, that's in your control. But I'm saying that it's not too little an investment. It's not too much of an investment to think that way. That if you spend 1 hour anyway as part of your next job growth strategy, if you spend that 1 hour in these areas, I think you can easily notch or move from 2 to 5. Yeah. Okay. Um, let me show you this. Mm, Okay. You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Let's start simple basic, right? Finance technology. What does Google say to me? So it talks about fintech, um, and it talks about digital finance, right? I hope you are scratching the terms here, right? So fintech is one thing. Then so you see the fintech here. Fintech is one thing. Then the other thing is digital finance, right? And then technological advancement in finance, right? Um, so these are some keywords that we need to do. I'm giving you like a very 50,000 feet of view here, but now we will just go into one by one. Yeah. Okay. So finance, technology, trends. Let's do this. So top technology trends in finance or key fintech. So let's do this. Is this proper? Okay, fintech trends. Okay, so here you can see a little bit. Let me just zoom it a bit. Right. So this you are familiar with the banking and capital markets, insurance, and asset management. These are like horizontal, or I would say verticals within the banking and financial services, where the different operations happen. And within that, you can see the fintech can be applied or can be integrated into the day-to-day business, or innovation can happen in the day-to-day business with technology and finance involved in all these areas. So digital only banking. So this is the pure customer retail banking, which can move from brick and mortar to digital only. Then you have contactless security systems for payment, for financial transactions, for smart transactions, biometric security, right? So this is around the payment processing innovation. Then you have finance investing, where you can see that self-driving funds or self-driving portfolio, self-managing portfolio based on the market movements, and then robo-advisors for basic financial and investing, then automatic saving and applying AI and ML algorithm in this finance investing area. Then you have open banking. While individual banks can secure accounts of customers like you and me, and customers on the street, also accounts of institutional investors. Um, Instead of having multiple banks in multiple regions as global major banks, there can be a concept that will be coming up soon, where it's kind of open banking, where certain data of finance will be secured in the open source in the internet, and certain reporting of your finance or customer finance can still be accessible through AI and API based banking. So that's one thing. Then in conversational banking, to work with the customers, to not to have too much manpower to answer to the customer responses. How can you automate that, and how can you reduce that headcount headcount use is through conversational banking. So you do a artificial intelligence powered voice technology to interface with the customers, right? And also you can do it in different languages. You can do it in different voices. So right now I'm talking to you in my voice. Imagine a future where the same session goes through a software and my voice gets translated into someone else, let's say in your own country or area, let's say Nigeria, in your mother language. If whatever I speak, this English can be converted into text, and that text in English can be converted to a text in your Nigerian language, and that text in Nigerian language can be translated back into voice of someone who speaks that language, right? So this is the technology improvement that can come in the conversational banking. Then we have regulatory technology reporting, right? So in most of our firms, whether banking firm or non-banking firm, ultimately when we report our IFRS accounting and reporting to regulators, to external stakeholders, the regulatory reporting is going to go more and more evolved because it's going to involve blockchain. It involves fintech concepts, involve digital currencies, cryptocurrencies. So it's going to evolve. So in such a regulatory reporting environment, there are a lot of going to be big data and machine learning based automation solutions that's going to evolve in that. So instead of calling it as fintech, this area itself is a niche area where they are calling it as RegTech, where you enable technology for regulatory reporting and you differentiate your firm versus other firm by the level of big data adoption and machine learning integration, right? So that is one thing. Then the blockchain is it's a kind of a distributed ledger technology. Why do we say that? Right now, if I have to, so let's say, send money to you, and let's say we don't know each other, then we would normally trust it through a third party agent. In most cases, it'll be a bank. It'll be a global bank or it'll be a local Nigerian bank where I will send the money to that bank and you will have an account and you will get the money from there, right? So instead of a direct communication, it goes through a third party. So today, the third party agents make money because the two counterparties don't know each other and they don't have trust in each other in terms of settlement, in terms of transaction, in terms of timing of the transaction, the completeness of the transaction, etc. Imagine this world where our firm has suppliers and customers, and that supplier has a chain of supplier, and the customer has got chain of customers that they need to cater to. And if you have to trace the flow of money, and you want to make sure that the money is secure, transparent, it's in legal ways, then how many counterparties you would have to deal with it in order to make it as a safe transaction. So there are a lot of resources that will get involved. Instead, they are trying to come up with a digital transaction ledger or a distributed ledger. So rather than relying on manual third-party custodians, we will be relying on digital transaction, which will trace the history of the money flowing from one side to the other side. And you will be able to depend on the history because you cannot tamper that digital record. You cannot steal that record. It's very secure, and that transaction details is available in multiple geographical secured servers, so that even if one network goes down, your transaction can still be secured or available through multiple locations. So this is called blockchain. So it's kind of a chain of blocks that contain secured digital data, and you can rely on it for transparency and secure operations. So this way, we are kind of in an investment banking setup, in a custodian setup. You are removing the custodian because you allow the two parties to have trust in each other through the digital records, right? So that is blockchain. And cryptocurrency is where the governments can change the currency value depending on the macro and microeconomic indicators, and they can print money, they can devalue the money. So the valuation of currency is under the currently is under the control of each government. Now, we put the value of that money based on the trust on that government. So the most secured or most trusted currency is US dollars, because we most of the customers on the planet have trust on the US government that they won't go bankrupt. They will make sure that the money is available. They will print and they will make it available. So that trust kind of creates a value for the digital dollar. However, it is still um, country dependent, government dependent. How about if we have to transact online and make all the digital payments and receivables online? How can we have a digital currency, an established digital currency that can provide that same trust? And most of the customers across the world believe in that currency and the security of the currency and the value of currency. That's where you must have heard about last week announcement that US government itself has come with digital dollar. So that is government giving a digital version of their paper currency. But other than government, non-government agencies, they come up with digital currencies called bitcoins, cryptocurrencies. So you have Ethereum, you have different other current cryptocurrencies that can solve, that can be used by the customers. So you can have multiple digital currency, and the trust of the digital currency is based on the trust of the network that kind of allows the free exchange of currencies in the digital market. So these are different areas, and we have touched upon artificial intelligence, machine learning, where you can automate the financial operations and the month-end close activities, the reconciliation activities, and the analytical operations to provide a decision making. So these are some of the areas within finance. Technology is going to evolve more and more, and it is important that we appreciate these pillars of technology in the finance. So let me take a pause here. Does this give you a bigger picture overview on how technology can impact finance?
Yes, it does. So most of these areas that you spoke on, I've before now had come across them in my conversations with friends, with colleagues in the workspace. So, but I didn't have a good understanding of those those terminologies. So you have blockchain. Of course, I understand cryptocurrencies, open banking, autonomous finance. So, but so I think you've been able to provide more insight on how technology can better improve the financial services sector. So I think I have a better understanding of how it works, and the fact that there are different aspects of technology are interwoven. So,
Fantastic. Excellent. So I've given this link of this page in the Zoom chat,
mm,
so you can copy paste and save it for yourself.
mm,
So this is one aspect. Now let's talk about banks and financial institutions and how fintech can play a picture, right? So so here let's talk about this. So the companies that you have worked or the industry that you have worked where you have played your role as CFO, what are the different industry verticals that you have worked on?
Okay, so I've worked in oil and gas. I've worked as a consultant. So then I moved into the oil and gas sector. Then from oil and gas, I moved into capital markets. Then we belong to an ecosystem, and basically what we do is to provide financial services and capital market services.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So consulting, oil and gas, capital markets, and a bit of financial services because of my engagement with other verticals within the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, so let me. So you have capital market and oil and gas. Okay, so for your next role, are you sticking to particular industry, or you're going to be open across different industry?
Okay, so if I have the opportunity to make a choice, then I'll be looking at financial services. I'll be looking at fintech companies. That's what I'm looking at. But the fact that, I'm job hunting, so I would say that I'm open to any sector for now, but I will be more interested in financial services, fintechs to be specific.
Correct. So in the previous picture where I gave you little boxes, what will be important is you after the session you take some time and for each box try to copy paste the diagram into a Word document or so forth. And then for each box, write down your current understanding in 2 to 3 lines, right?
Mm, mm,
And then you will come back in a week, and based on whatever you have learned, then you are
mm,
going to evolve with a little bit more granularity and increase it to like 3 to 5 lines. So in each of these area, you should be able to have like a 5 lines, which will be like a 2 minute conversation. So it
mm,
could be a good sentence or it could be like a keywords.
okay,
Okay. So
that's fine.
that's a self exercise that you can do because that in turn is going to help you become more and more conversant in those areas. Yeah.
Mm,
Now
fine.
this picture is another good picture where you can see technology is impacting finance or financial services in multiple ways. So I'm chatting the link here. You want to search for this and then download this picture. You can see the different areas in finance, right? Accounting and finance, asset management, financial services and automation in terms of reporting what we do, then core banking and infrastructure for the consumer banking. Then we have
Mhm.
capital markets, which is where the investment banking comes into picture. Then we have payment processing and networks, personal finance, point of sale and consumer lending, regulatory and compliance, real estate and mortgages, retail investing and secondary markets, payroll benefits, insurance, business lending and finance, general lending and marketplaces, cryptocurrencies, digital wallets or mobile wallets and remittances, digital banking, credit score and analytics, core banking. So you see the big financial services has been sliced into multiple categories, and within that you see who are all the fintech players who are participating in it, right? So this with this picture right now I can do a presentation for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. I can go through each one. I can take an example in each one, and I can talk about them. For example, I can talk about Stripe, which is one of the firm. very popular form for payments processing. And then I can talk about, here I should say, um, I would say Stamply for accounting and finance. So similarly, what we should be doing or you should be doing is, okay, now just take an example from each one, just type it out. Like here I would say go for Kata, here I would go for Scalable, here I would go for Ready. So the first one that you see, just you type in and kind of understand, okay, how they are innovating, right? And then have like a one line, two line notes on them. So I would say take any three companies that you see in this sector and have a bit of 1 to 2 minute topic on it, right? Content to speak on it. So this way, you will have a conversational familiarity in these multiple sectors. And this is important for you as a CFO because the firm that you're working is going to have operations in multiple of these areas, right? So we cannot just focus our knowledge only on the accounting and reporting and regulatory reporting, but we need to have a wider, broader knowledge, and this big picture kind of gives you that broader knowledge. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, it does. It resonates with me.
Yeah, always what I do is I just take one company or two, three companies. I'll say, what does Bright Flag do? What does iCapital do? What does Stash do? What does Stripe do? So if you just Google, you're just going to get what they do and how they are kind of impacting or innovating in that space. By even having that and having kind of a document which puts it together, you will have the digital knowledge, like the knowledge about them in terms of the fintech. So you're covering the fintech aspect of being able to conversation. So this kind of takes you into the, kind of the 3, 4, and 5 zone because you have the big picture of banking, you have the slices, and then you have global players who are impacting, and who can upset or disrupt in that space. And that is an important knowledge to have as a CFO. Helps?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay.
Very insightful.
Yeah. And all of this I'm just taking right from the Google, yeah. So I'm not in no proprietary material here. So we talked about fintech. We talked about that. Let's talk about um, big data stuff. Okay. So big data analytical platforms. Okay, let's see this. Okay, I'm going to. I hope the image is clear now, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So I'm going to chat this link also for you. Okay, why is big data so important, right? I mean, almost from 1998 to 2000 when the internet bubble evolved, more and more online websites um, got got into life, and more and more digital data was going back and forth between customers and providers, right? Initially, it was kind of a one-way communication. So you have a website, you go to that website, you know about the company, then you order a product, you finish your transaction, and that's it. If it's a good website, you keep going back to it, like let's say 1-800-Flowers or Amazon or something like that, where you can buy a lot of products, and you can repeat the process flow, and with time you get comfortable with that firm and their online operations, and you get more and more. All of this evolution in the last 2 decades have made data on the web kind of multiplied by like 1,000 times, right? So right now you have like I would say terabytes and petabytes of data. I mean, I would say it's somewhere in the 300, 400 petabytes of data, which means you go from kilobyte, KB to MB, right? Megabyte to gigabyte to terabyte to petabyte and then to zettabyte, right? So this is how the size of the data is being mentioned. So the size of the data has grown huge, and hence, in order to manage a lot of this data, volume of data, and the speed with which the data grows, they call it as velocity, and the volume of the data is called the volume, right? The growth of the data is volume. Then there are different type of data, right? So it's not just customer to customer, customer to provider transaction website. You have your refrigerator sending data signals to your mobile phone to alert that some item is going shortage. Your home security system is sending some message to your alert on your mobile if something goes wrong. So the kind of data coming from different instruments, different it could be medical instruments, it could be home instruments, it could be anything. It can come from human, it can come from instruments. So the type of data is different. Humans may provide a more legible and understandable data, whereas instruments may be providing kind of metrics, and that metrics is interpreted or signals is interpreted into certain activities. So the variety of data is also called veracity, right? So volume, variety, and velocity of the data, the speed with which the data grows. All these make up to have its own evolution, and the processing of data with such volume, with such speed, and with such a variety of data requires a technology stack in itself. So what you see in the picture is at the top you see event hubs. Event hubs is where data can come online via web. The data can come from an instrument to a application, software application, which then interprets that and puts the data into a database, which then you can see via a reporting in Excel or in Tableau or something. So the event hub is the first point of entry to get different digital signals or data, and to process by the next thing. So data factory is where you get the different data and you store that first entry into the data into an internal database, right? And that ingestion into the data requires a different kind of technology. So Kafka, Flume, data flow, these are all very established softwares for handling huge volume of data that is incoming at high speed, and still it's able to ingest data without losing the data. Are you so far with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Once you have ingested the data into your platform, into your firm platform, you may have to do three things with it. One, you have to do the end of day or nightly batch processing in order to process them and send it to different systems. In some cases, you may have to take the data real time and make some real time decision. For example, let's say some medical device is sending the data of a patient in the bed, and then you have to immediately make some decision making based on the parameters of the data. So there are real-time decisions. And over a period of time, whether it's real-time or batch, the data gets stored in a big data lake. So you in the yester years, we would have called it as big data servers. Now we are saying the big storage area is called lake. So lake is a big area of water. Here, big area of data is nothing but data lake. So when the data is available in the data lake, how much or what can you do to bring analytics out of the data that you have gathered over time, many years, or with the speed with which it's coming? What analytics can you gain to enable the business to differentiate, to make their business decision making faster? Right? And once you are able to have your data in your data lake and you are able to analyze it, you are able to process it, then the next thing is you need to export that data, some cases to another application or another vendor for some niche reporting, or you have to use it for different kind of reporting and visualization data management tools. And that's where Tableau and Splunk and all these kind of analytical tool comes in. So we talked about these different layers of big data management, right? So this picture is all about big data management, and these are the different layers. Within that each layer, you have a few keywords, which gives you the technology or software that is most likely used in the big data space. On the right, you see the names that are available open source, which means there is no single provider who is providing this software or technology. It is an open source community that is building, that is managing this technology and providing support for this technology. On the left, you see top providers, established big data providers. Microsoft is providing Azure. Google is providing Google Cloud. Amazon is providing Amazon Web Services, AWS. And then there are other couple of proprietary companies which are providing big data and cloud computing stack, Vertica and Hortonworks, right? So if you have to talk about big data, if you are able to talk about this, then you will be able to have a good conversation with your CTOs or technology leaders. When they come and give some buzzwords, you know where they fit into it.
Interesting.
So we have talked about customer journey. We have talked about our vacation destination journey. This is about the data journey going into the firm, right? Right.
Mhm.
Data entry to data ingestion to data analytics and processing to data export to data management and reporting and visualization. So in each of this layer, this is how it is. Okay. So I gave you this link to the picture. You can download and save it into the Word document, so you have one consolidated place, right? Again, whatever you remember, you type it in a couple of lines, and then you can do a bit of brainstorming, or you can come back for another session and we can talk a little bit more if something in a particular space needs more information. You can put it into a Google document. I can edit some information where you need, so that the Google document is kind of more evolved and appropriate, right? So this is one thing. Then the other one is, I will just give you an overview, but I won't go into detail because it could
Mm,
overwhelm you in this one session. But I'll give
mm.
you this picture. So you might have seen this picture of artificial intelligence, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the Salim Sufis thing. We
Yeah.
might have. So here you come from right to left, right? So anything that enables computers to mimic human intelligence is artificial intelligence. It can be a simple
Oh.
decision making, decision tree, anything you automate it. But within that, if you want to make some analytics and you want to prescribe some activities or describe what has happened or you want to predict outcomes, then you go for a niche set of AI algorithm, which is machine learning algorithm. So here you provide data, you use the algorithm, you train the machine learning network algorithm to come up with outcomes, predictive outcomes. And once you trained it and once you make it live, then comes another subset of machine learning, which is even with the data that you have not trained, your algorithm is able to run and it's able to recognize the data, or it is able to predict outcomes based on data. So that is deep learning. So one thing is to have a view on this picture, and I will again chat you this link. You can take a look at it and just have a basic understanding in this page. So that is one thing. Now here, I'll show you this. Okay, so AI ML technology. Okay, so let's go back here. So this is an interesting picture you have here, right? This is a simple article on emerging technologies that is shaping the world, and here it talks about this particular one, like the Internet of Technology, and whatever we just spoke,
Mm-hmm.
um, blockchain, machine learning, big data, artificial intelligence, and
Mm-hmm.
augmented reality. Augmented reality is where um, you make the visualization more natural. It's kind of a virtual reality. If you put your 3D glasses and you see things coming up to you in a real, similarly, augmented realities with or automation and AI intelligence, you kind of help some of the um, some of the um, customers who don't have natural ability to be able to support them. So that is augmented reality. It can vary in terms of speech, from some speech to um, speech synthesis to text conversion, etc. You make like the blinds and the deafs and the dumbs. Those people we can help with the augmented reality by converting the data into a format that they understand more. Yeah. So that is something augmented realities. You just need to have a two, three lines of speakable content on that. Um, so the other one is called cloud computing. Again, I will give you a link to just show you what it is. But this is going to be, let's say, yeah, this is a good picture. Um, I'll probably give you this picture and then the other picture. I gave you that picture and then I'll give you the features of cloud picture. Okay, so here if you see cloud computing in one single line, Busola, is that the hardware that we use to store our business and financial data is not being used 24 by 7, right? It's not like a printing newspaper machine that's continuously getting, maybe it is getting peak usage during the nightly processing, or it is, or during some key calculation or month end processing. it's being used more. But in other times, it may be used less, right? So buying very costly servers to meet a very narrow peak time zone activity is not the best investment of money. You should be able to have a option to flexibly increase your capacity in terms of number of missions, the memory of the computer, the speed of the computer. You should be able to vertically scale up, or you should be able to scale across to make your your server footprint less, and also use it only when you need it. And that uh, optimization of using computer servers and resources on demand and scale on demand is called cloud computing. Is that clear?
Yeah.
And all these names in the boxes are just benefits of cloud computing and features of cloud computing, where you can you can get the big return of investment, right? Why we need cloud computing. So these are all the features of cloud computing. I don't want to bombard you today, but it just gives you, it's a very good site, right? You can see list of certifications. There are some keywords we can talk about another day. But public cloud is where like Amazon, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, these are public cloud. Private cloud is what we all currently may have in our own firm, set of servers and machines in the data center within the firm. That is private cloud. Hybrid cloud is you have some servers in your own data center, but for scaling up, you're buying servers from Microsoft Azure or cloud provider. So you only pay as you need or pay as you use, right? So that is a combination of on-premises servers and public cloud servers, and that is called hybrid cloud. Then there are different type of virtualization,
Sorry,
which
excuse me. Sorry for interrupting. So you talked about buying space from Microsoft Azure.
yeah.
So that's hybrid. It's a combination of public and private
If you
cloud.
already have some servers, and if you also want additional servers that you want to pay only for use, then it's a combination of on-premises and
Okay.
the public cloud, and hence it is called hybrid. If
Okay.
you
So
if you
most
are a brand new startup and you don't have
okay.
any servers, you haven't procured any servers,
Oh, okay.
then you want to only buy servers as you use, then you can
Oh,
straight away build your applications on public cloud.
oh, I see. So I would say that with this information, I would say that most organizations adopt hybrid.
Correct.
I yeah approach. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because I know in my organization we have our servers on-prem. Then we also partner with Microsoft Azure.
Correct.
Yeah. So I know Microsoft Azure is one of our vendors. Okay,
Correct.
so that makes more sense now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So,
this,
so if I may ask, so the space you're getting from public cloud, is that like a backup? Is that what it means to backup, or you're just expanding your space?
you're expanding your
Your
space.
your data storage space. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's different from backup.
Yeah,
Backing
that's
up your
different from backup. Yeah.
oh, okay. I see. Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you were to buy servers for your on-premises, for each of
Mm-hmm.
the production server that you buy, you also need to have a backup server and a backup data center, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if
Yeah.
you buy a server on a public cloud, Microsoft Azure automatically provides the backup features. You don't
Oh,
have to pay for it.
okay, okay. So another question is, why do organizations have on-prem servers? Why not just public space or public cloud like
It's an evolution, right? One is it's an evolution. So if a company has been there for 20, 25 years, cloud computing
oh,
just came only a few years back, right?
okay. So for a new organization now, it's advisable you just engage the cloud server providers, right?
Correct.
Okay.
This is one thing. Second thing is, while the cloud computing gives you an option to
Mm,
ramp up your servers, ramp up your capacity for peak
mm,
processing, there may be certain type of data where even though to the best of the security that the public cloud providers are providing, you may not want to transfer that secured data from your on-premises to cloud. You may want to mask it and then move it to the cloud. And when cloud process and when it gives back the data, you have to unmask it and put it back into the on-premises, right? So there for data privacy and data security, they may also have that's also a reason that drives people to have a hybrid cloud rather than only public cloud.
Okay, so that has been my concern about cloud computing, data privacy and data security. I know in terms of security, there's been a lot of improvement in that regard, but data privacy, I don't know how that has been managed because I sense that someone else has not an authorized person has access to my data.
No, no unauthorized person will have an access to your data. The cloud computing security has evolved to an extent where it's completely secure, right? For example, let's say we take a practical example. Let's say in our kitchen, we have multiple storage boxes. Some of them
Mm,
are transparent, some of them are not transparent, but we store few things in each, and we store that in racks, and we store that racks in a shelf. So what is there in one box, the other box doesn't know, unless the box is entirely transparent to know what we have stored in, right? So it is that kind of, so even though they all share the same shelf or rack
mm.
space, the data in each container is secured. The data that you buy, the servers that you buy from the public cloud is part of a specific container, and that container is only provided for you. No one else other than your firm secured resources can have access to it.
Okay, so my question is it possible for someone that works with Microsoft Azure or come up with some, what is it called, programming language
Yeah,
to to gain access to my data? That's what I mean by having authorized access. That
yeah.
authorization is not coming from me, but from the cloud server provider. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. So
So that's
my concern
why,
has always been someone else has access to my data. And that's the question I usually ask my IT guys in the office, because we also had to transition from the on-prem server to cloud server based. And my question was like, and there was a sensitization session for all employees, and we're asked to move all our files to the server. And my question was okay, as the CFO, I have some very confidential data that I'm not supposed to share with another person. So how can you guarantee 100% data privacy? So in terms of security, I know that some measures have been put in place. I'm not that technologically savvy, but I know we discussed such things at the management meeting. So I know the extent of work that has been done in that regard. But in terms of data privacy, and so that has always been my question. So the cloud server provider, are you saying that they can't access that information, even with the use of programming language. I wouldn't call it hacking into my files. I wouldn't call it that, because they had the provider of the server or the storage space. So that has been my concern regarding data privacy.
Yeah, so now multiple ways to look into it. Microsoft as a firm doesn't know what data you have within your container, number one.
Mm, mm,
Microsoft what knows is how much volume of data, the frequency of the data that goes into that server. It has the
mm,
metrics because that is where the tools on top of your servers will provide you the analytics. Okay. Any authorized employee of Microsoft typically will not have access to your data because it's all secured, so no one can do it. However,
mm,
a rogue employee or someone on the street who is a hacker, if they can
mm,
break a secured algorithm, that
mm,
break can happen in any. It can happen in on-premises. It can happen in cloud
mm,
also. The chances
mm,
of that is like 0.000001%, but that is not a very frequently happening thing. It is not possible, but at the same time, you have a very slightest chance, which the Microsoft is, as a provider, is guaranteeing you the security.
okay.
So it's almost like if your
Okay.
Apple phone or Android phone, you have the phone, you have the data in your phone, you have the password to lock and unlock it. Can someone come and hack your phone? In normal sense, you can't, because Android
Mm,
and Apple have algorithms to prevent someone from taking the data. But who knows who can come up with an algorithm that is not even thought about by Apple and Android, and they kind of hack it in, right? The
mm,
chances are very slim, but in a normal sense, it won't.
mm. Okay. Well understood.
Yeah, that is all. I think at this
Mm,
point, for a session of this 1 hour, I would say
mm,
we touched upon cloud computing, we touched upon AI, ML, deep
mm,
learning, blockchain, big data, um, and we talked about fintech. And what we did not talk about is different technologies to visualize the reporting, automate the reporting, bring analytics out of the reporting. For example, MicroStrategy, Tableau, etc. There are a lot of visual tools. That's probably we should keep it for some other day. But that's the slight area we haven't touched about. But all the other areas we kind of have glanced at a high level.
mm, mm. Interesting. Interesting.
Does it
Thank you
help
very
you?
much, Larry. Yeah, it does. So it's been an insightful and informative session. So I was able to relate uh, everything we have discussed with my experience with the terminologies I have come across with. Like I said earlier, my past employment, we went through a digital transformation journey. So I came across all these terminologies, but I didn't have a good understanding of what they mean. So now I understand cloud computing, and I like the way you kind of provided insight to it. You provided further explanation, and you were able to expatiate on each area of the technology, from emerging technologies in fintech industry to talking about big data. Yeah, they say that data is not the new oil. Yeah, it's everywhere in the world. So you never can tell you cannot underestimate the benefits that can be derived from data and how you can monetize data. Then going into cloud computing. So I think this session for me is, I would say, is an eye opener for me. And what I can draw from it is that I need to do a lot of reading. And I think that's one of my weaknesses, because as finance professionals, you are just you're more focused on delivering reports. There's always one report for you to deliver. You're always under pressure, especially when you don't have enough human resources to work with you. So you're just there. And sometimes at management meetings, those things are being discussed, especially when the IT department, they present this adoption of these technologies or procurement of these technologies for approval or for concurrence of the management. And as a finance professional, you're just busy crunching numbers and looking at how to meet up with that strict timelines that you have. So it's really an eye opener for me, and I really want to thank you. And I would say that I think I need to dedicate more time. I need to create more time to read so that I can enrich my knowledge regarding the technology space. So thank you very much for your time, Harry. I really, really appreciate giving me 1 hour of your time this early morning. It's afternoon here, Joe. I, I really appreciate. Thank you very much. And I think I'll come back to you. What I'll do in the next 1 week or 2 weeks is try to go through the websites you have shared with me, read on my own, gain more insights and knowledge, then come back to you if I have further questions to ask you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very,
So let me
very
stop the
much.
recording here.